Well, boys, it's time to celebrate because Ubisoft is completely screwed. Their last couple of games have utterly bombed. Their stupid business model of cramming every single game filled with microtransactions, DLC, really crappy expansions, really stretched out, terrible maps. The Ubisoft business model continues to fail because at this point, people are exhausted by it. Even at some point you did like things like Ghost Recon or Assassin's Creed, these franchises have died for the profit of Ubisoft, and now they're literally begging for a buyout. This is dead serious. I want to try and predict who is going to purchase Ubisoft, though, because they are in financial freefall. If somebody doesn't swoop in and scoop them up, there is going to be some big problems. But the question is, will that be Sony? Will that be Microsoft? Or will it be somebody else? Let's take a look at the facts. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Now, please, if you could, like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's start things off by just taking a look at some of their recent releases to sort of put into perspective how deeply and financially in debt they are. Like, these are a couple of their recent games that they've spent, keep in mind, hundreds of millions of dollars developing. Rainbow Six Extraction utterly plummeted. Things like Riders Republic, most of you probably don't even realize this exists, but it was a snowboarding, biking, open world game. Pretty much nobody bought it. Far Cry 6 performed way under expectations. Stuff like Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed were good, but not as successful as they needed. Ghost Recon Breakpoint completely sold like 4 copies, and all of them were returned. Like, even this, remember they made a gigantic, huge game freaking in 2020 called Hyperscape. They made their own Battle Royale. This was an incredibly expensive project. It failed so hard, it already has ceased to exist. They are completely cooked, and that's why over the weekend we got this strange thing where people inside of Kotaku are talking about the fact that the company is getting ready to put a price tag on itself. Yves Guillemot, the guy who used to actually work at the top of Ubisoft, is no longer at the company. He's not trying to battle off people trying to invade. They're no longer trying to basically stop all the workplace controversies. A lot of their senior devs are leaving. Big projects have been bombing. Nobody is there to save Ubisoft from being Ubisoft. Now, in the article itself, they're very clear that this is a straight-up survival strategy. The idea behind this is the fact that they want to just continue for their games to exist. They're not doing this because they want this to be the most profitable path possible. It is just straight up that if they want Sam Fisher to ever go on another adventure, they need outside help. But here's what's interesting about this is that Ubisoft seems to be trying to claim that they are busy. They've been doing all these strange cryptic tweets pretending like they're not failing, saying, yes, we're working on a big tactical shooter, which is going to pretty much be ripping off Valorant. They're saying, yes, we're going to start making games that are tinier and more focused because bigger isn't always better. Now, let's be clear here. The reason that Ubisoft is talking about their secret projects and claiming that they're going to do better, it's complete lies. They're doing this because they're trying to pump up the value of the company. They're trying to basically get you to buy it for the biggest price tag possible. But who's going to pay that price? Now, Sony and Microsoft are both in very unique positions that are very, very separate. I still feel like Sony is trying to make the biggest AAA single-player experiences possible. They want to make games that are going to occupy you, that are going to make memes, that are going to get high review scores. Sony still seems to be in that mindset where just a couple big releases in a year is more profitable to them in the long run. They're trying to make sure that if they can just get like 5 or 6 real AAA bangers that are going to really stir up the hype, stir up console sales, and have a very high attach rate, meaning that everybody with a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5 buys it, they seem to be incredibly happy. But Ubisoft, it's such a weird idea of a deal. Ubisoft as a company is just filled with a lot of dead game franchises, and a lot of the developers are working on stuff like Avatar games. Who the heck even cares about Avatar? Like, I haven't even thought about one of these blue elves and I don't even know how many years, and yet they're spending more humongous stacks of money to try and make that profitable. Whoever buys them is probably going to axe that immediately. If anything, I would think that Sony would probably just buy sections of it if it does to end up failing, if the company completely gets liquidated, which is currently on the docket, I think that they would just try and buy a couple series from Ubisoft. Like Assassin's Creed, in my opinion, is a very freaking Sony-esque franchise. Assassin's Creed is something that could really appeal to those style of gamers, the people that are PlayStation people. Whereas Microsoft, I feel like does probably want to buy them because they love having a huge catalog. Let's keep in mind that Game Pass does continue to grow exponentially, where straight up there is more people playing it, there's more games on it, there's just more reasons to play Game Pass. And so if Microsoft did scoop up and buy it, from a fan perspective, I do feel like that would be a very big win for them. The reason I personally do not believe at all that Microsoft is going to buy Ubisoft is just because they're still stuck in the middle of that Activision deal, which is just so incredibly sloppy. I actually tweeted this out and some people got incredibly mad at me for it, but I said, chill with all the Microsoft is buying Ubisoft talk. Xbox still hasn't closed the Activision deal. Let them figure that out before eating anyone else up. Now, even actually just about 30 minutes before I started filming this video, Activision-Blizzard has announced that they're going to try and finish the Microsoft deal on June 30th, 2023. So about a year and 1 month. So like 13 months from today. Now, that's interesting, but it does sort of signal the fact that each of these acquisitions for Microsoft is going to become bigger and more complicated to do. The United States government at this point is watching a very, very close laser beam focused eye on Microsoft to make sure that Xbox does not create a monopoly. And in my opinion, even though I do kind of hate Ubisoft, I do think that Ubisoft, with all their stupid freaking NFTs and garbage games, I think they've gone downhill. But it could be a very profitable acquisition for Microsoft. It just feels like Team Xbox is a better spot for something like Ubisoft because it has so many different brands underneath a single umbrella. So being able to take them all and put them all on Game Pass, the entire back catalog of Ubisoft and new stuff, that would probably be a lot more profitable for Microsoft, but legally, I just don't know if they can buy it for a bit. I don't think Microsoft can even begin talks of an acquisition of anybody for at least the next 13 months, just because this deal is already so complicated. It's so weird. I just think that they're having to tap the brakes and make sure this gets finished before they start buying anybody else. Now, I think it's probably going to be Tencent. I do not like Tencent. Tencent is, again, a very evil company. They're big Chinese super conglomerates, but what people forget is that they've been buying up pretty much everybody with a price tag. All these different studios, small, big, they're trying to buy up everybody because, honestly, it's easy money for them. Right now, Tencent is just in a spot where they don't really make games, they take profit from games. They scoop up on people that are already working on projects, they buy it, they take the money, and they run. In fact, even just glancing, this is obviously Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not the most accurate, but it straight up says here, this is currently the largest video game industry in the world. These people are huge because what they do is they invest. Instead of trying to make games directly, they buy people and have them finish it, which is a very smart idea because it does give people creative freedom, but Tencent is very invasive. But look at this right here over on the side. It says that last year, just last year, they made freaking 86 billion US dollars. In just 2021, they made that close to $100 billion. Like, even if you hate this company, like I believe you probably should, we have to understand that this amount of money is something people cannot say no to. Ubisoft is struggling. Ubisoft, it does seem like a lot of the executives, a lot of the developers still care about their projects. And even if they are going to be broken apart and sold off piece by piece, they care about the art. They still want these brands, these characters, these universes to continue to exist. And if Tencent comes with a paycheck, they're probably going to take it. I mean, I like that term, will you sell your soul to the devil? Because sometimes that is what it comes down to. It is one of those things where you think, all right, what is it going to take to continue to work on the projects I want? And Tencent may be that path. It's difficult to tell who's really going to do it. It's difficult to tell who's really going to do it, but these have just been my own personal thoughts on the whole endeavor, the whole mess. Again, please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. You guys rock. Also, be sure to keep dreaming. But also, screw 10 cents every single day in every single hole. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.